We're live. I think everything
Hey
is
everyone.
working. Nothing is broken. This is great. I can see my voice
How
moving.
rare.
I can see your voice moving. Everyone should be able to hear us. Today's turning out pretty good so far.
I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. This is the Retro Ranger wrap up. What's up? What's going on in the chat? You see Thomas, Noah, Edward, Isaiah, the Blur,
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like that might be
Faisal.
it right now. So while we're waiting for some other people to fill in here, what have you been up to? Well, actually, here Thomas Franco was asking where Corey's at. Corey is. I don't know where Corey's at. He just sent me a message saying that he wasn't going to be free today, so he's off doing Corey thing, whatever that
Hopefully
is.
something fun.
I hope so.
Yeah, we finally got over here in SoCal a little bit of rain today, which is kind of a pleasant surprise. I feel like it's been a stressful week, and I kind of feel like the sky is crying for joy. I hope. Don't want to get too political, but it has definitely been a stressful week. So that's kind of where I've been at, especially with work. Work has been crazy, but oh, we
Yeah,
have the Blur.
yeah,
The
and the
Blur,
blur
hey,
is
what's up?
wrong. He's telling me that disco is disco, the music is dead. Yes, that is accurate. Disco, the show, is actually not dead because they've already been renewed for another season. So, and
I don't know how to disco.
I like some disco music.
Like,
Some,
what
some,
is
some.
disco? Everlasting Love?
Disco would be
Oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire?
yeah, like 70s rock, like Casey and the Sunshine Band type stuff.
Oh, okay.
The Village People, um, like everything that you have heard in like Saturday Night Fever.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a huge disco fan, except for maybe wearing roller skates on a Saturday at a roller
Yeah,
rink.
see
That's
that's
probably like the most extent of disco that I know.
same with me. Like I know it from like that kind of stuff from the roller rink when I was a kid. When I was in my clubbing days, back in like the early mid 2000s, there was a club in that we used to go to that like Wednesday nights was like disco night, so we would go there every once in a while. But yeah, like I don't have like disco albums or anything. Just what I know from going to clubs and you know that kind of stuff. But
I don't know. In my head right now, like the tighter black shirt, you have like Moby vibes going on.
see, that's why
I feel like.
typically what I get is Moby, David Cross, uh, Dave Attell, or the dude from Vsauce.
I only know one of those people, and it's the one that I mentioned.
David Cross was Men in Black. He was the guy that was spraying the bugs that got bent in half. He was also
Yeah, that
in
came out so
yeah
long ago.
Arrested Development. He's been like you would know him if you saw him. Um,
Okay, I probably would.
anyway. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, you were saying that the week was stressful, and now today we've got some good news this morning. Some at least half the country did. So that's good. Today's a little bit better. Um, but yeah, what are you excited about for November? Like what's coming up that you're looking forward to?
It's actually really hard. Like here in LA, we still have pretty intense COVID restrictions as far as going out. So I don't even know if my family's getting together for Thanksgiving this year. I guess we'll see. But my work has been super stressful, like 14-hour days all week.
Oh,
I'm actually going to be working right after this stream, but after next week, I am done with all of my events for the year, so I am super excited.
nice.
Hopefully, I'll get to coast until the end of the year, just put in my regular 8-hour days and fingers crossed.
That's good. Like
What about you? What's going on?
well, I just last week wrapped on the Cal Fire show that I was working on. If you guys are interested in seeing what firefighters in California have been doing over the past couple of months, if you go to the discoverychannel.com and look up Cal Fire, there's actually some mini episodes from the show that I was working on that was up that are already up. So that's kind of cool. You can see what I do outside of this kind of stuff. You won't see me on screen. I was doing media management for them, so everything that you see on the screen came through my hands at some point. Uh, and now I'm kind of in that in between section, like you're going to be next week, where I'm doing just like the regular Monday through Friday 9 to 5 until the next big show comes up. So that's gonna be fun. I think it's more cooking shows, so those are always fun to work on.
I don't know how to cook. My cooking is limited to maybe anime where clothes get blown off when things are super delicious.
I
But I did think of something
Oh
for
yeah.
November, and it's actually something that all of you guys are invited to. Hey, Layla, it's been a pretty long time. Glad to see you in the chat. We wanted to announce we are having an event at the
Oh
Comic Bug
yeah.
next
Yeah.
Saturday if you guys happen to be free. Josh, do you want to provide some more
Yeah,
info on that? We're
so
pretty
on
excited.
the 14th, which is next Saturday, as I'll just said, Jason Font from Power Rangers Time Force will be at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. He'll be doing socially distanced signings. I don't know if you guys saw any of the images from when Ray Park was there a few weeks ago. It'll be a similar event to that. You can bring in any of your collectibles that he might be involved in. He'll sign them. I know not a lot of you are in the SoCal area, but for those of you who are, it should be something fun. For those of you who aren't, I believe they're working out how to ship things to people. So if you visit the Comic Bug on Twitter or Facebook or their website, you should be able to get more information about how to do that from there. Or if you hit me up on Twitter and say, "Hey, how do I get this done?" I'll make sure to find that information and get it to you from there. Uh,
Yeah, super
yeah.
exciting. And it's going to be, do you know what the hours are?
Um,
Do we know what the hours are yet?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I can find out easily enough here. If you want to.
And if, sure. And if you guys ever want to find out more information to these questions that I ask, the easiest way is to go to any of our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We always post all of this information with the dates, the times, who, what, when, where, and why. So make sure to follow us on Instagram at the.illuminerdi, on Twitter at the_Illuminerdi, and on Facebook as part of the inner circle.
Let's see here.
Well, that was my banter for now.
I don't see the hours specifically listed here. I would imagine it's going to start somewhere around 11 or 12, and probably run until 5 or 6. But I will,
Okay, so pretty
I
much all
will,
day.
yeah, yeah. I'll verify that information. I'll make sure it goes up on our Twitter, and I'll retweet it on mine. So if you guys follow me and not the Illuminati, which I see it more being the other way around, that you follow the Illuminati and maybe not me, you'll be able to find it either way. What are people talking about in the chat? I see some movement over there.
Well, we got a lot of people that I feel like I haven't seen in a quick minute. So everyone's just saying, "What's up? How's it going?" I love that you guys can talk to each other in the chat. I love that we have a great community. And like Josh was saying, give them a follow. We are a community. We love that you follow us as the Illuminati. But if you want to follow any of us individually, we all have our different personalities. Josh is more of the Twitter person. I'm probably more
Yeah.
of Instagram. Shay is neither. I feel like I haven't seen him post on either thing. He's just here in the chat today, which we haven't seen Shay in a pretty long time either.
Well, I see him every day because that fucker lives like right there.
I know. I haven't seen him since before COVID. I haven't seen a lot of you guys in like the
Yeah.
past recent
It's
months,
been
I feel like.
it's been a while.
But yeah, I guess we are all caught up on our house cleaning and our banter. The real reason why you guys are here is because we are talking retro Power Rangers today. We are talking about 2 episodes. One was kind of meh, and one was kind of meh to me. Yo, the Blur, what's up? We have another super chat with a super cute. Is that a Shiba dog? Or is that the corgi?
It looks like
I
it.
thought Shibas have the cute little like eyebrows. Oh my god, it's so cute. What's up, the Blair? Thank you so much for that super chat.
Also, this goes back to the beginning of the stream really quick. But if you guys notice my sound being really weird, I am using my earbud things as my microphone. So if you can't hear me that well, just let me know and I'll switch over to a different mic. But it looks like all of you guys can hear me fine. Um, Yeah, so
Can you hear me now?
I can. So today's episodes, we are on episodes 26 and 27, which is what were these called? I know the second one was Loyax's Last Battle. That was 27. 26 is Mean Wheels Mantis. Uh, what did what before we get into the individual episodes, what did you actually think like overall? Like what's your overall impression from these?
I'm not gonna lie, after last week's Halloween episode, I am so hyped up for RPM. I was a little disappointed with this week's episodes. They're kind of just talking. It's just a rehashing of what I've seen in previous seasons, but I get it. I mean, you always have a new audience that might be joining for a season that hasn't seen any of these things before, so you want to keep the cool elements.
Right.
But man, I just feel like the motorcycles, did we know they even had them? I feel like those came out of left field. I feel like there was no real plot device, especially in the first one. The second one, like, you fight like a girl. Kind of wish we were past that, but we're
Yeah, well,
definitely
I
not.
mean,
But
this
it's
was
all right. It's all right.
1999. This was 1999. So that sort of thing was still kind of a thing back then. I did
It's
enjoy
true.
I did enjoy the fact though that it wasn't just that it was more playful banter that they at least within the Ranger group that it was, oh well, you fight like a girl, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
and not like actual, well, you're a girl so you obviously can't lead a team, or that it wasn't there until you got to that fight with with Loyax where he was actually doing that. So like I felt like it was a good, I didn't like it, but I felt that it was a good setup for how the episode ran. But I'm also looking at this through 2020 glasses, not through 1999 lenses. So
That's true.
I don't know how I would have felt about it then, because now that kind of thing is definitely played out. It's just, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, let's start with the mean, was it the mean wheels Mantis? Let me switch over here to pull up some of our images here. These are just a bunch of random screenshots of Mantis from the episode. But what? Yeah, yeah. It was. This was a very odd juxtaposition for me because I also just watched the new episode of The Mandalorian. I don't know if you're watching that show or not. Are you? I don't know. I hear you. Let me make sure that's not an issue on my end. Uh, like maybe when I switched the thing. All right. Let's
Let's see.
if you
Let me
could.
also mess with this.
It may have been over here. Guys, let me know if you can hear Elle now. So Elle, if you want to start talking a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
But
in case you in the chat still can't hear her while while we're vamping, making sure that you guys can. What I'm going to ask you is, do you watch The Mandalorian on Disney Plus?
oh yes, so I actually just caught up on the two episodes released for season two today,
Okay,
earlier
they
today.
hear you
I
now.
won't spoil anything.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. No, I
perfect.
don't. I'm not going to spoil anything that like story wise from the episodes. But there was an appearance of an insect like creature that
Ooh,
Amy Sedaris' character was talking to.
okay.
So like seeing that and then seeing the Mantis character in this, I was like, huh, that's that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean the Ranger villains. I guess. They always, sometimes they look really, really good. Sometimes they look really, really bad. I feel like we've had like a mantis type alien before or monster before, and I don't remember it having human teeth. The human teeth and the eyes, like at
Yeah.
first I didn't even see the human face in the costume, and I was like, whoa, they actually exposed like a person's face in the
Yeah,
mantis.
I
Like
mean,
why? Like what the hell?
I kind of feel like that ties into my overall issue with a lot of the Power Rangers villains, at least from this era, is that their masks, or the masks that they use for the villains, are like these. They're static. Like, like maybe you'll see the chin moving a little bit when they're talking, but overall, it's just like this frozen face, and this one just made that even worse because it was just like this giant permanent grin coming out of a bug with. It's like, have you ever seen the the uh the picture of the fish that has like human looking teeth?
No, but I also, it makes me think of Wallace and Gromit. Like all of their creatures, like the dogs and the chickens, have like human teeth, but for some reason it's really endearing. I
Yeah.
remember when it was first introduced from like UK area, wherever it came from, to the United States, I was like, there is something really unsettling. But over time, it eventually grew on me. But this did not.
Yeah, in cartoon, I mean, Wallace and Gromit isn't really a cartoon; it's more stop motion animation. But
Yeah.
in like regular animation, and even in that kind of animation, it's I feel like it's a little bit different because you actually see their mouth moving, so it's not as weird to me because
What
they
about the original Sonic image from the live action Sonic
that
movie?
was just
Because that kind of blends of animation
yeah
and, human teeth.
that was weird. I don't know how I would have felt about it if I'd seen the trailer with him looking like that, because
Yeah.
it might have been a little bit different because he would have been talking, his mouth would have been moving, but yeah, just that first image, that was kind of weird. But for you guys watching, you guys in the chat, if you really want to see something weird, that it's not gross, uh, but it wigs me out.
Don't believe him.
It wigs me out the same way that like this mask kind of wigs me out. Is just look up fish with human teeth, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Uh,
Oh,
I'm
man.
I'm not going
I
to
mean,
subject you to it by forcing it on you by putting it in here though.
okay, I appreciate that. And I don't know, like the other thing in this, like I know I was harping on teeth, but also like the other thing we were talking about when this was, aired and created. But man, I wish Corey was here because I'm super curious about the footage of the motorcycles. Is that Sentai footage? Is that American footage? Did the girls not have a motorcycle for that reason? But like, why did you have to turn them into trophies? Like literal objects to be won in a race? And I was just like, how old is
Yeah,
this? Like,
I'm
did anyone else thinking back on it think that this is problematic? Like this episode, the trophy thing, like, trying to get in with the funny like human face in the monster. But I mean, let's be real. Like they turned the girls into literal trophies to be won in a race. Was this written by a dude? This was obviously written by a dude.
yeah. I mean, just in general, I wasn't a fan of like really both of these episodes. I just really wasn't that hot on. But looking at the notes here, it doesn't really say anything about what was directly Sentai footage and what was American footage. I would guess that stuff was Sentai footage though, just from the way it looked. Um,
Yeah.
it didn't completely.
Blackwing
Yeah,
confirmed.
Black Wings
Blackwing
confirming. Yeah,
confirmed
that's
it's
Sentai footage.
Sentai footage. So I mean, they had to take the girls out some way, but I'm like, uh,
Yeah,
man, this is the footage you decided to use and the story that you decided to go with. You couldn't like make it a little more empowering, a little,
yeah. It just
ugh. Especially juxtaposed to the next episode, which is supposed to be like, girls are powerful and cool. And I'm like, why did you put these right next to each other? Like, one is incredibly demeaning and the other episode is trying to like lift them up.
Well,
And it's like an
think
interesting juxtaposition
was
putting these
was it
together.
Blackwing? Yeah, Blackwing earlier in the chat said that the Mean Wheels Mantis episode was actually the first episode of Lost Galaxy, but when ABC Family was airing it, it was in random orders. So on Netflix,
Okay.
I guess it kept that order. It's kind of like on Disney Plus. I don't know if you pay attention to any of this kind of stuff, but like on Disney Plus, Darkwing Duck is out of order. Uh,
Oh.
and the X-Men animated series is also out of order on there. So like you'll be watching it, and all of a sudden you get to an episode where they mention something that was like way back. Like at Darkwing Duck, the pilot episode is actually halfway through the season instead of actually being the first episode. So you're like, wait, why is this all happening now? Like we've seen all these characters before, but they don't exist yet, or they're just meeting them for the first time. It's kind of weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So
Oh, I don't like that. I like things in proper chronological order.
yeah.
But I don't know. It was weird. I mean, I can't fault the writers. Like, it is difficult to come up with all these episodes. It was using the Sentai footage, so they're trying to create a story around that. It was just, it's in poor taste now. Like, looking back on it now, this episode definitely rubbed me the wrong way. The only thing was that Listen to Your Heart, and like that, what is it, DHT? There was this song that came out in like the early aughts, I feel like, and it was like Listen to Your Heart. It was like when electronic music was starting to infiltrate pop music. And I was like, man, that whole song was just playing in my head during this entire episode. No one probably knows what I'm talking
Got a
about, but
correction
that's
to
okay.
make. Blackwing actually says that what he meant was that was the first episode that he watched, not that it was the first episode of Lost Galaxy, because
Okay.
that would also, thinking about it, that doesn't really make any sense in my head either, because the first episode of Lost Galaxy was when they got onto the ship. So
It's
Blackwing, that's
okay.
not
We create our own
yeah,
parallel
that's not
timeline over
entirely your
here.
fault, Blackwing. That's also my fault for being an idiot. But that's been
I mean, that does make sense.
that's been happening a lot over the past couple of weeks, just because I was doing overnights on that show, so like my schedule is starting to reverse back, and everything is just getting kind of weird. And then this whole week, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but this whole week I've just been watching the news, trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the real world. So that's just been mind numbing at the same time. But let's take a look at the errors and notes for this episode. While I'm going through these, if you guys want to go through the chat, or you guys in the chat and watching want to let us know what you thought of Mean Wheels Mantis, go ahead. I'm interested to see if you guys liked this episode better than we did. But in the errors section, we've got during the second race, Leo remembered Maya and Kendrick's turning into trophies, even though he wasn't actually there to witness it, which was kind of one of those weird things that you see. Like that kind of reminded me of in Rick and Morty when they were doing Morty's mind benders, and Morty was like, "Wait, how are we seeing this from these other people's perspective? Because we weren't actually there when this was happening." And Rick was like,
Yeah.
"Well, editorial, we had to make it interesting." So like that was exactly what I was thinking of. Despite Kendrick's being with them, the Wildcat wasn't shown arriving with the other Galactic Beasts, nor was Kendrick shown jumping onto it. So those two errors this time were actually errors, which is interesting because in the past couple of weeks, these have just been like weird nitpicky things that were just like, oh, this isn't a thing that happened, and it's like, oh, that's not really an error. This is something they didn't do. Notes: Russell Lawrence, who plays Mike, does not appear in this episode, which I feel like he's more
Mike
of.
doesn't appear in a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I feel like
to
he's
be honest.
more of a recurring character than a regular character, so he only shows up from time to time. Kendrick
For sure.
only appears unmorphed from the back and from a distance. If I remember correctly from what Corey was saying, this is when she was starting to get sick and was going through treatment for, I think it was like leukemia. So I think there's a period of time where we don't actually see her directly in some of the episodes.
Okay, that makes sense.
This episode was similar to a future Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode, Ace and the Race, with a similar plotline. And the small
Okay.
statues on the yellow and pink trophies are the Lost Galaxy yellow and pink figures painted gold. That's kind of funny.
Oh, okay. That's actually pretty funny. I like that.
And according to this, the Megazord fight footage was from Chapter 9, Secret Kitten from Gingaman, and Chapter 32, The Mobile Force of Friendship, was where they got the red cycle footage from, and where it debuted on the Sentai side.
Okay. Well, I mean, the errors in this one were actual errors. I do like that. The other stuff, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Actually kind of sad. Knowing about like the treatment and everything and having to, kind of cut down on acting time. But that is actually super interesting. In the chat, we have, or Josh, let's ask you, what would you give this particular episode?
I feel like a 2. Like I don't
All right.
I don't want to give it a 1 because it wasn't that bad. Like I didn't watch this and go, "Oh my god, this episode was horrible." I just watched it. It was like it just wasn't great or good.
Okay.
it was just kind of there. Like I would say that it's worse than an average like what I would say is the average episode, but it wasn't just bad. It was just
Okay.
meh.
I feel you, because in the chat, like the Blur gives it a 2, Jared Hodges gives it a 3. Common Writer says it's just an okay episode. Larry Newbill gives it a 2.5. Faisal, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. If you can give me like a, phonetic pronunciation. I hate mispronouncing names. Gives it a 3. What else do we got? For me personally, like I don't like the idea that the girls were turned into literal trophies that were to be won by a race,
Yeah.
and it does not age well. It doesn't fit. Like this is 2020. This is the whole thing of like, it rubbed me the wrong way. I'm gonna give it a -3, just based off of that. I
I
didn't like
could
the monster. I thought he was terrifying. And at the end, when I thought they were all gonna be able to ride their motorcycles together, and then they're just on bikes, but the girls are just standing because they don't even get bikes, and I was like, what is going on?
yeah.
What the hell is going on here? And that was American footage where they can easily like, hey, you guys can have bikes and race with the boys too. And they decided to be like, nah, we only have enough budget to get the boys bikes.
Yeah, it was just
It gets a negative rating for me this week.
I completely understand that. One thing that we did discuss I do want to ask you about is when Leo went and talked to the Lion Galactic Beast to find out that his bike had these extra powers
Superpowers.
that he didn't know about. That was weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's weird.
It
But
just
I mean, they set it up in the beginning where Maya's like, hey, you got to listen with your heart to the feelings that the sounds are creating. And I was like, and I like that it actually tied in to the major part of the episode where that's what he had to learn, is to connect with his Galactic Beast. I was okay with it. Objectively, yes, you were correct. That was weird.
yeah, it just I
It's
just
Power Rangers,
yeah
man.
yeah like and I know and I like again I know I nitpick at a lot of the stuff in the Power Rangers episodes where I'm like, oh well, this is weird and this is dumb and that's weird. This one though, it for me it was just like seeing him like talking to the giant lion. Maybe it's just because of how it looked visually was weird to me, but it was just an odd scene just all together. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I gotta be real. I don't like the Galactabeasts in beast form. I really only like them in Zord form. They
Yeah,
look
that might be the thing
weird.
that was weird to me too. Like maybe it was just because it looked weird. I was just like, okay, but
And Leo's is supposed to be
I
a
don't know.
lion, but none of the beasts look like the animals really that they're supposed to be. Like his lion mane is just like
Yeah,
scrapes in his
I
head.
think I think the gorilla one is the one that's the closest, and even
Yeah,
that one
I agree.
isn't that great, or ape or whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next episode, which is Loyax's last battle. Um, I like this one a little bit better.
I do too. Actually, the monster in this one, the mace monster or whatever he was, I was like, that looks cool. Like, he looks menacing.
Yeah.
He had a change of heart. There was like an actual story arc for this particular monster. And alien, I don't really know what they are at this point, if they're created or just aliens. But yeah, I thought the monster was interesting. The story was way more interesting. I like that turn of heart and how Maya's trying to, bring him over to the good side. I like that. I like those kind of wholesome, it's easy to understand, like,
Yeah.
dichotomy of good and bad. And definitely a lot better
I,
than the
I
previous one.
I felt like the storyline in this one I mean, just overall from a storytelling standpoint, like comparing it to other TV shows, not as far as quality goes, but just as far as the actual plot, I feel like the storyline was kind of cliche, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, one of the good guys and one of the bad guys now have to work together in order to get out of the situation that they're in. Um, and I did like that after they got out of that situation, that eventually Loyax did change his ways, because like this was I started rewatching Thundercats recently.
Oh,
Just like putting it on the background, and this kind of reminded me a little bit of one of those episodes where there was like this intergalactic uh, battle, like this guy who liked to fight people to prove that he was the best fighter there was, and he came down and he met with the mutants, and the mutants were like, "Oh, well, you gotta go fight Lino," in an attempt to get him to defeat the Thundercats for him, and that's kind of what this felt like to me here too. Was that Scorpina and all the bad guys were like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna use Loyax to go and take care of the Power Rangers because we can't, because we're a bunch of like weak little pansies," and apparently he wasn't able to do it either. But it's just I don't know. The story felt like something I've seen like 1,000 times before.
it's
Not
true.
not
But I mean,
not that
I,
it was
I still love
bad.
it.
It just yeah. That's not to say that it was bad. It's just not original.
It's definitely true. I mean, I feel like in one of the more recent, it's not exactly like the same storyline, but if anyone watches like Demon Slayer, if you know who Inosuke is, oh my God, he's one of my favorites. Like, I don't want to be too spoilery, but yeah, it kind of follows. It's not exactly that, but it's like, oh, antagonists trying to win them over. And it makes her, if done correctly, even though cliched, it still has an effect. And it's like, I like that they're introducing this concept to a younger audience, where it's like
Yeah,
maybe kids that are like young have never seen this before. And this is kind of their first introduction of like, hey, maybe you should talk to the evil guys, see if you can win them over. If there's a chance that they want to be good, like kill them with kindness kind of thing, like just keep talking to them. Maybe they can become a good person.
yeah,
I
but
like that instead of just like fighting
it's
all the time.
it's. I mean that with these types of shows, like I mean, you can watch things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series. You can watch Star Trek. You can watch the Magicians, or what really any sci-fi or fantasy TV show that's out there that's been on for multiple seasons. Supernatural is one. Supergirl, or The Flash. Any of these shows, you're going to run into characters who used to be bad guys who are now working with the good guys. Like they all of a sudden had a change of heart, and they flipped over to be a hero. And I feel like it's just a I realize that TV is here to be an escape from reality, but every time I see that kind of thing happen, I'm just like, that's not how shit would go down in real life. Because
That's true. I mean, we kind of
I don't
already
know,
had this too a
it's
little bit with Magna Defender,
yeah.
kind of being an antagonist and coming over to the good side
But see,
and letting go of
I feel
his
like Magna Defender.
vengeance.
What I feel like Magna Defender was a little bit different case, because he was never really a villain. He was out for revenge, and he was so blinded by his hatred for Scorpius that he was willing to do. The ends justified the means for him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he wanted he wanted to be good and he wanted to help people, but his own desires were getting in the way of him actually realizing that what he was doing wasn't actually that he was hurting people in his quest for revenge.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these other people that were just like legit villains, just all of a sudden turning good, and now all of a sudden the good guys trust them. And like that's always been a just a bizarre change for me. Like it's
Like last
I don't
season, the
know.
whole thing with Corone, you know,
But see,
like
even
come
with her, because like she was raised that way. So like I feel like that like even for her that was a slightly different case because she was raised to be evil. And that was one of the things that I always joked about with In Space was that like all these guys are like, no, we're evil, we do bad things, that's just who we are, that's what we do. That's not how people are in real life. They're just like, no, I'm not doing this because I'm a bad guy. I'm doing this because this is what I want. It's like people don't consider. I mean, people probably consider themselves self evil, but they don't say that that's their reasoning for doing things. It's just like, well, I'm an asshole, so I'm going to do this because I'm an asshole. That's not. It's just a weird thought process to me. I don't know.
No, I feel you. No, I get you. I get you. If any of you guys have watched Game of Thrones, like a good example, most of the villains are not actually villains. If you watch on like The Hound and their progression, minus the last season, I'm completely discounting the last season, but like have a growth where it's like they might seem evil, but they're not. And then you have someone like Joffrey, who's just like a wretched piece of shit for
Yeah,
no other reason than to be evil. But most people are incredibly complex. Like getting a Joffrey in life or in a story is incredibly rare.
Jamie
Like
Lannister.
we see this all the time.
Jamie
Oh yeah,
Lannister is like
Jamie Lannister is
he
a good
is
one.
a great example of the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is because
Yes.
he did bad things, but he did them for what he
Love.
considered to be
What I do
noble
for love.
reasons. Yeah. And then towards the end of the series, he realized that what he was that he was on the wrong side of things, and he was like, "Listen, I can't. We're on the wrong side of this. We can't do this anymore." And he had an arc. Like he went from uh, not being a great guy, not necessarily being evil, just not being great, to being cognizant of what his actions meant. And
And
I would,
again, totally negating the
yeah,
last season.
yeah, yeah,
Weird.
yeah. And I feel like hopefully moving forward in Power Rangers with the new direction with Brian Hill and what's the Jason Entwistle, the guys who are now taking on the new stuff. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit more complex storytelling after that. 'Cause, like with Brian Hill, you can see his work on he wrote Titans, and some of the other DC shows. He's written a bunch of comics, so you can actually see what he's done. And it's good. So I have faith that he can maybe like revitalize the series. Like
That would be amazing.
when their stuff comes up, I will definitely start watching Power Rangers in real time, like instead of
Oh,
starting with like the older stuff, just because I'm
maybe I
I,
should do that too,
I'm
especially now that
experiencing.
there's more influence from comics, and comics have been doing this for like Go-Go Power Rangers and Power Rangers, like giving complexity not only to the heroes but to the villains. And it's like, man, I'm such a sucker for that. And I feel like no matter what age you are, like it is appropriate to like create complex, characters that have flaws and that are actually still good,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just
absolutely.
like you. Hopefully it'll be good.
I'm actually probably going to start watching with Dino Fury because I feel like that's going to be like a transitionary season. So I'm really curious to see how that starts and how it ends, since that's like the first like real Hasbro Entertainment One series that's coming out before this mega change that's happening. But yeah, no, I mean that's also more complex storytelling, like Star Trek, which after this show coming up at 3 o'clock, I will be on with Heirloom, and we'll be talking about the new episode of Star Trek Discovery. Um, but Star Trek has a new young adult series coming out called Prodigy that's going to be on Nickelodeon, and
Oh,
it's being like their target. Like I feel like Young Justice, and like Justice League Unlimited, and those series are where I feel like Power Rangers should be, where it's something that appeals to kids, but has the complex storytelling that adults like.
Huh. Yeah, that's what I am hoping. For those of you guys in the chat, what would you rate this particular episode? That I already don't remember what it's called.
Loyax's Last Battle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's the name. It's like the Lorax, and I just keep imagining like the really fat orange guy from like Dr. Seuss.
But see,
Which just
this is
doesn't
another.
match this dude.
I don't necessarily understand the name of this villain either, because like I'm assuming it's a play on loyal, uh, and I don't know who.
An axe.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
But he has
who
a
he.
mace instead.
I don't know who he was supposed to be loyal to. Um, it seemed like he was loyal to himself, but it was. I don't know. I don't know. Like there was it, who not was is it Deviot that has like his code of conduct that he was like I'm like no, I have this code that I'm going to live by, or was that one of the other
Oh,
characters?
that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, like he felt more like
It's
that than anything out of loyalty.
okay. I think I know who you're talking about. The one that's like, is it the guy? Oh man, my brain can't function today. But the guy that was like super loyal to like Corone, and it was like, hey, like I'm evil, but I'm here to protect you. Like
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah,
one that
yeah.
raised you, and
Was
the one with the
that
super cool suit.
was that Furio?
Oh God, what was his name? It
No,
was
Furio was in
Let
this.
us know in the chat.
Yeah,
The black with the
I
green.
can't
He was
remember.
super cool.
Oh,
Man,
Ecliptor.
my brain. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah.
that instant relief of finally like that tip of the tongue. Excellent.
Yes.
But yeah, let us know what you thought about this particular episode in the chat. I thought this was loads and loads better than the previous one, even though they were still making those jokes like you fight like a girl. But I kind of thought it did show that she had empathy, and fighting is not the only way to prove that you are better or worse than someone. I wish they played that up a little bit more, that it's like, you fight like a girl, we need a battle. And I wish it was more like, we act like it was in there that we don't need to do this, that sometimes we can talk things through with words. And I feel like that is an important lesson for kids to learn, that you can't just punch your way through all of your obstacles. But yeah, how I gave that other episode negative points, I'm gonna give this one a 4 actually. What say
This
you,
is
Josh?
this is completely unrelated, but something exciting. Do you know who Booze, the cheesesteak place that's in Koreatown is?
Wait, what?
Booze, the restaurant in Koreatown.
Booze?
Booze.
Like alcohol?
No, like boo, but with an apostrophe s.
Oh no, I've never heard of that or
Okay.
been there.
All right, so we'll have to go there. I was talking with someone on Twitter last night about cheesesteaks, because Philadelphia was a big part of the excitement that happened today. So
That is
we were
true.
just talking about like various Philly things. I'm from just north of Philly, so like authentic Philly cheesesteaks are like my thing. Like if a restaurant is selling cheesesteaks and it's not right, I'm always like just disappointed in them.
Are you into squeezy cheese on your Philly
Not
cheesesteaks?
squeezy cheese, but cheese whiz, which is it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cheese whiz is kind of like those Velveeta blocks, but it comes in a jar instead of you kind of scoop it out. Yes, if a cheesesteak place doesn't at least offer those and call themselves a Philly cheesesteak, then it's not for me. But so Booze jumped into the discussion, and they replied that they actually get their bread, which is also a big factor of it, directly from Philly. They import all of it because of the way it's made there. It's different than you can get anywhere in the country. So that's, sorry, completely off topic, but that just made me really excited about actually going out and getting a cheesesteak now. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I wish there were more cheesesteaks in it, but um, it was it was definitely better than the Mean Wheels Mantis episode. It felt like there was actually somewhat of a story here, even if it was kind of a cliche and a story that we've seen, millions of times before. Uh, I, I would give this one a 3. Just because it definitely it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great, and I think it could have been a little bit better if they had tweaked some things. But while you guys in the chat are giving us your ratings and drooling over Philly cheesesteaks. I'm going to go through some errors and notes. Um, we only have 2 errors here. Before striking Loyax, Maya calls her Quasar Saber the Thunder Saber. It doesn't go into any explanation on why that's an error. So I don't know if like her.
Do the quasar sabers have actual elemental powers?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
what
like
I'm not
we don't
sure.
really get to see them that often, or they don't like at least shout out the powers of their
Right.
quasar sabers.
So
So
so if any of you
that might
guys
have
in
been
the
something
chat
from early on that
who,
they mentioned.
yeah, if any of you guys in the chat are more familiar with the Sentai and have an explanation for why she may have called it Thunder Saber and whether that actually is an error or not, please let me know because I am really curious about that. And then during the final battle, when Loyax raised his arm, both the Galaxy Megazord and Deviot looked into the sky for some reason. I'm assuming that's because in the Sentai footage something was over there and they couldn't find a better shot to use. Notes: Kendricks only appears unmorphed from a distance and is standing through archive footage again. Uh, Mike does not appear in this episode. Alpha 6 makes his first appearance since Redemption Day. I didn't actually realize that we hadn't seen Alpha 6 in so long until we had seen Alpha 6. I was like, oh yeah, there's an alpha in this thing. The Alpha Six's voice also sounded a little bit different to me too. Like he sounded more like the original Alpha 5 than the Alpha 6 that we had in space.
Well, because Alpha has been through a lot of voice changes. Like he had that kind of like yo 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 90s
Yeah,
cool voice, and then that was annoying. And they kind of gave him like a more like feminized voice when they came into the season. But it has been a while where I'm just like, yo, Alpha, I don't even know why you're still here. Like you really offer nothing to the show. Like you are kind of useless.
well, we haven't even really
But
seen the Astro Mega ship in a while either, have we?
no, we haven't. But
Um, let's see. The Brilliant Bug is briefly seen fighting Loyax in one scene, and this is the first time the Centaurus Megazord combination sequence is shown.
to be honest, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, neither did I.
Like I think I did notice like, oh, something seems a little different, but couldn't quite put my finger on it. Yo, MJ, thanks so much for that super chat. Be positive and share the love. We always do. Thank you so much for that. Um, Also, Geraldo says no one else is giving any other votes in this chat, but he does say a 10 because the dude looks like he runs on a steam engine. It is very steampunk of him.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
like this villain way better than the weird mantis human face abomination that we saw in the previous episode. But
he looks like. Do you remember Return to Oz?
I've never seen that.
Oh man,
I
one of
don't
the
know why
characters.
you asked me about movies. Like, I don't know why
Yeah,
any of y'all ever asked me about watching movies. I don't watch movies,
I don't
guys.
know. Like I know that you don't watch a lot of stuff, but then every once in a while you'll talk about a movie that you saw. I'm like, wait, you've seen this? So I
I
feel
know,
like
like
I
something
always have
really
to ask.
obscure usually
Yeah.
too.
Uh, but Loyax kind of looks like one of the characters named TikTok, who was he was short and round. But this dude looks like that thing in the center kind of looks like a gear, like from a clock or something.
Okay.
So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the costume design on this guy a lot better than the Mantis because the mask actually looks like a helmet of some kind, not necessarily like it's actually supposed to be his face. So it was a little bit easier for me to get over the expression on his face being stationary rather than something that looked like it was supposed to be someone's face that just didn't move.
It's true, but I feel like this particular like villain, he looks more like something that should be an RPM or even something that should be like the Machine Empire that looks built.
Yeah,
Doesn't necessarily fit. I don't even know if there's a theme for this particular series. Like all the other ones, like we had a lot of bug influence like back
right.
in space. But yeah, I guess there's no real rhyme or reason to whatever these monsters are, and that's fine.
Yeah,
But I hope they up the ante. Like I said, I'm super excited for RPM whenever we get there in like the next 12 years. So
yeah, yeah. So next week, again, next week we will be down. We will not have a show because we will be at the comic, or at least I will be at the Comic Bug for the Jason Font signing. But the week after that, we will be watching episode 28 and 29. I know Corey wanted us to cover episode 28 this week, to have a third episode in there, but looking at the storylines going forward, it didn't make a whole lot of sense because 28 and 29 are both additional filler episodes, and then once we get to episode 30, all the next episodes in that series look like they all connect. I don't know if you've looked ahead or not, but there's
Nope.
it'll be interesting to see what like how everything comes into play. But after that, we will be doing 3 episodes a week. So it'll be 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, until we hit episode 43, I believe it was. Let me pull this up here really quick just to make sure. Let's see here. Yeah, 28 is a Red Romance, and 29 is the Chameleac Warrior, and then 30 through 45. So we'll have 15 episodes left. So it'll be 28, 29 next week, and then we'll have 5 weeks where we do 3 episodes each until we get to the end of the series.
And if any of you guys are curious about what episodes we are reviewing, if you do want to rewatch, we usually do post on YouTube what is our upcoming episode with the episode numbers. So make sure to, do you subscribe on YouTube? Subscribe to our channel so you can get those notifications. I am so bad at these promotions, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
That's okay. I didn't do a post this week about the episodes that we were covering, so yeah, that's also on me. But I will make sure to do better about that in the future, and I'll go ahead and post I can't talk today either. I'll post the episodes that we will be covering on the 21st. Right? Is that the right date? Because next week is the 14th.
That is a Saturday.
So yes,
the Saturday after next week's event.
Yeah. So on the 21st, I'll make sure that we have a post on YouTube talking about the episodes that we're discussing, and you guys will be free to comment on that post and tell us if there's any specific things about the episodes that you want us to discuss. But I think that's going to do it for us for today. Elle, do you have anything that you would like to plug for your personal stuff, or any final thoughts for the weekend?
No, I am kind of curious if any of you guys want to just throw it up in the chat, but it's like, what is your favorite Philly cheesesteak, or what do you get on your Philly cheesesteaks? Because I actually don't like that runny cheese on any of my like cheesesteak sandwiches. I prefer a provolone with grilled onions and mushrooms and peppers. That is my preferred. So it's not truly a Philly cheesesteak. It is just a cheesesteak. But you like
So I don't have a problem with non-Philly cheesesteaks. Like I will.
But it's not Philly anymore. They're just cheesesteaks.
Exactly. What annoys me is when they call it a Philly cheesesteak and it's clearly not a Philly cheesesteak. But for me on my cheesesteaks, it's definitely cheese with grilled onions, peppers, and every once in a while, if I like spicy stuff too, so I'll chop up some jalapenos and put them on there if I'm making it myself.
Actually, you know what I remember? There was one time Joe went to Philly and he brought back a Philly cheesesteak. And that was one of the first times that I actually liked Cheese Whiz on a sandwich. I remember just being absolutely shocked by it. And I was like, man, that shit looks so disgusting. But it was actually really, really good.
It has to be made the right way. Like that next time you're actually free and you come over, I'll make some, because I can get steakums from the store. I keep Cheese Whiz in the fridge, but as long as the Cheese Whiz is put on the sandwich the right way, it's not going to be runny and pouring out of the sandwich. It's the meat might be overflowing and coming out, but that's what you get with oversized sandwiches.
Oh man, I love that. Overflowing meat. Don't clip that into a thing. That's weird. What a weird thing to say. But yeah, I honestly, do you have any plugs? Let's go ahead and end the show. Yeah, it's getting a little weird.
All right. So if you're not following me on Twitter, I am trying to raise my follower count there. I'm a long way from being to the point where I can get verified, so don't worry about getting me to that point. But if you'd like to follow me there, you can find me at Vogon Poetry Slam. That's also where you can find me on Instagram, even though I only post there once every few weeks, if that. Uh, Again, this Saturday, the 14th, at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. If you're in the area, come and say hi to Jason Font and the rest of the Illuminerdi crew that will be there. In approximately 40 minutes, myself and Heirloom will be live talking about the new episode of Star Trek Discovery, Forget Me Not. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, you can tune into the Illuminati Wrestling Order, where they will be discussing all of the latest in wrestling news. All right,
All right,
I think
I
that's all I
guess
got.
that does it for us. We will see you in 2 weeks or in a week if you decide to join us at the Comic Bug.
Yeah,
And by us, I mean everyone else.
I'm sure we'll be
But
going live from there at some point, so you guys will be able to check that out. I'll make sure to take some pictures and get those posted too. But yeah, so we will see you guys in 2 weeks, and I'll see some
all
of you
right.
in 40 minutes. Bye bye.
All right, bye guys. See you next time.